You're listening to Guitar Talk with Dave and John.
All right, everybody, we are back once again, episode 59.
Closing on the big 6-0.
Yes.
Ah,
Yes.
I am your lovely host, John.
And I am Dave. And we had another week go by us. And did you play this week?
No, I didn't. I mean, I played a lot at home, but my next gig is this upcoming weekend. So I had a few weeks off.
I had a gig on Saturday, and it was a private party with FM station. Lots of fun. They asked us to play an extra hour and paid us accordingly. It was great. Great time.
Private parties are fun.
Oh, yeah. Friday, however, I usually play in this trio where it's Emily and this guy, Chris, and I. And the three of us play. We call it the K-Tel Sessions Presents Experience. Anything from the cheesy stuff from the 70s with a lot of cheese. And he wanted to do a favor to a friend of his who was a drummer that's going into surgery on his foot. So he invited this drummer to come sit in with us. Well, then it didn't make sense to not have a bass player, so he hired a bass player. Okay. Both of which I didn't know the quality of the player. It was horrendous. It was probably one of the biggest nightmare.
Don't worry, Dave. Everything's going to work out just fine.
Oh, now, in all honesty, I didn't. Right. And I didn't care because I was like, this isn't my band. This is. Yeah. But it was just to the point where I'm like, do you not have the sensibility to know what the 5 is? You can't hear anything. It's like working from scratch with somebody.
He's always wanted to play the drums in front of a crowd of people.
Right.
Oh, yeah, is he any good? Oh, he's never tried.
Oh, well, this is all I heard the whole night. This is all I heard behind me. Sorry.
I love it.
Sorry. All I heard was sorry all night, 5 times a song.
My bad.
He'd play a fill and land on the uptick and go, sorry. I'm like, oh, God.
Everybody in the crowd was going, you are.
Oh, no. And the funny, the crowds don't know much. I mean, they may. This crowd didn't seem to care. And that's cool. But it was an experience that was very trying on my soul. And but Saturday was good because we had a good gig that night. And yeah, it was a good weekend for playing.
I did a show once with my buddy Alex that was a huge nightmare. He goes, I want to play a song that we've never played together before. And I'm like, he's like, don't worry about it though. Just follow along, right? And it was like, oh shit. So nobody in the band ever heard this song. It was an original song of his.
Oh.
He starts playing it, and it's not like 1-4-5 changes.
Right.
It's like original song. I did what I wanted when I wrote it kind of song. Nobody could follow anything. Oh. Then the bridge comes, and it's like, oh, there's a bridge here? I had no idea. And so you hear this one guy in the background go, just say, he like yelled out, and he was like, you guys missed that bridge.
Yeah. They're yelling out, hey, play when you know.
Oh, it was hilarious. But that was the last time I ever played with that guy because I was just like, yeah, this is too much of a shit show for me. I can't do it.
Well, I've taken on a new student on the weekends, every other weekend, and he's young. And I'm hammering him with information, and, he's enjoying it. He's like, I didn't look at it like that before. But I'm trying to get him to the point. And I think that players, listen, if you're a player and you don't understand music and you don't understand theory, you don't understand dominance chords, and you can't read a chart, don't say you can, because within a second, the people around you who do know you can't.
Right, that's fair.
So the point is there's no point to even, thinking that you can fool somebody who knows when you don't. because you have to at least know something. I'm not saying you shouldn't try and play over your head. Sometimes if you can read a chart and there's a tough chart, yeah, go for it. But if you don't understand what a quarter note is, or an eighth note, or an eighth note triplet, or a quarter note triplet, don't bother. Like, don't lie and say that you can figure it out or you can get it, because that's just trouble. That's just like somebody around you, someone like me, is going to be like, yeah, why didn't you just tell me you didn't know? Because at least then I would have been able to help you before we went on to understand what I'm dealing with. But, if I'm playing something and I'm like, it goes to the 5, and you're looking at me like, what's that mean? I'm like, I'm fucked.
That's true.
Yeah, it's tough. So I want to just say, listen, if you're out there and you're playing and you're gigging, why not try to get better? My whole playing, especially with YouTube out there, there's so much information out there. If you don't know certain things, you can look them up. If you don't know how a song goes, you could look it up. If you don't know how to figure something out, you could look it up. But you should really try to gather some semblance of an understanding.
By the time you're on stage, it's too late. If you don't know it, you're going to mess it up.
Oh, yeah. Well, I remember...
when you mess it up with a smile on your face so that nobody knows that you're, like, all pissed off at yourself because you screwed up, because they may not have caught it.
Just own it. And if somebody asks you a question, hey, do you understand this, before you go in? Yeah, just get it.
Well, hey, get this. All of these tumultuous, awful things are about to be washed away with the holiday season, spreading its cheer and joy upon us.
Yes.
Oh, folks, whether you celebrate Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, or Festivus for the rest of us. Yeah, whatever you celebrate, it's coming, because surprisingly, they're all stacked up right around the same time frame. I'm sure that has nothing to do with each other at all. They're completely independent of each other, or not. Anyways, DL, have you any ideas or recommendations for some of our listeners who might have young people in their lives or friends in their lives who might want some guitar-related stocking stuffers? What do you think?
Yes, folks, let's talk a little bit about stocking stuffers. As you know, the holidays are here. There's plenty of stocking stuffers. I'll give you a list of some, and John, you could probably fill in with a list of some. And then we could probably also talk about what to avoid, which I think would be a cool thing, because I'm sure there's stuff off the top of our head we could say, don't put this in my stocking ever, please.
Okay.
First thing I would say is, if you have a musician friend, obviously you're all musicians, hint around to your wife, your loved ones, that you want strings. They're inexpensive. They fit into that stocking that goes above your fireplace. They don't burn easy. Thank you. They, no, but the strings are a very good thing. In fact, that would be my first thing I would say for somebody.
If you're a veteran guitar player, don't hint around to people that you want strings. You have to be specific, because we all know you like a particular thing, and you're inevitably going to get the wrong gauge, style, or size, or whatever.
That's right.
So,
and another thing I would also say, to me, I think there's things like some of the mini pedals are cool to get somebody, because it's something that somebody could use, and whether they love it or don't love it, they'll appreciate it and could trade it if they needed to. But if you got somebody, and the one I had in mind was the Mower Electric Lady. It is a mini $50 version of the Electro Harmonix Electric Mistress. Cool flanger sounds, cool chorus sounds when you pull it down. It's considered one of the best clones of that. And
yeah, I've heard that before.
Yeah, and I think it's a great $50 gift for somebody to go in there and their stocking.
That's you just brought up something I wasn't anticipating talking about, but right after we cover some things here, let's mention a few $50 pedals, because there's enough out there that are very, very useful that that conversation could be had. Anyway, what else is good for the guitar players out there that need a stocking stuffer?
Well, it depends on how expensive you want to go. I think the Ebo I saw on sale for like $20 off around this time is a cool thing if anybody's looking for an Ebo. And if you want a cooler version of it on Cyber Monday, which would be today, there is $100 off the Gizmotron 2.0. Now, the
That's very
Gizmotron
specific.
is a very cool thing. Jimmy Page used it on the intro to In the Evening. It is like the spinning wheel system that you push down on the strings, and it basically works in the same kind of thing as the Ebo. It vibrates the strings and gives it a bowing effect. Really cool.
I think that the people that want an Ebo out there, it's got to be single digits. There's like 7 people that want an Ebo, right?
Well, the thing
there
is,
more than 7? There might be.
no. Here's why it's a great stocking stuffer. Would you ever go and buy yourself an Ebo?
No.
Would you mess around with it if I gave you one?
Maybe. Probably.
Right. Oh, you would.
I don't know if that's true.
I would. I'd be sitting there like, oh, I could use this on, because it's like a bowing sound. It's used on some ethereal sounding stuff.
I'd say that cheap bastard didn't even give me any batteries.
Right. I just
How
think
do we feel about
it's cool if somebody got you things that you wouldn't necessarily buy.
if you want an excellent stocking stuffer for your loved one, there's a few things that you're definitely going to need. You're going to need Dave's Tone Plastic Surgical Tubing for your talk box.
That's right.
And you definitely need a box of Fresh Tubes powder. The what was it? It was a Guitarman hammer.
That's right.
You definitely need that.
Which
to
also
bring back
comes
old
with a
bits.
4-ounce bottle of Astroglide in case you want to insert the tubes in your own rectum.
Oh man. So we got strings, Astroglide, and an Ebo.
Right. I also would say anything like that the Dario makes as their side products, like this headstock tuner that's really cool and small, or an NS capo, which I have
tuner
right
is
here
a
as well.
great recommendation.
Yeah, and one of these little capos, the NS. Now, why I use the NS capo is you can control the tension. So if you're playing on the 7th fret capo, you can tighten it to your own desire and not have everything go madly sharp or flat.
Yep, those are good capos.
How about you, John? What are your
SM57s for anybody that actually plays out or that
Can't
likes
go
to
wrong.
record at home? I mean, that's $100 mic. Maybe it's a bit pricey for a stocking stuffer, but it's small.
I would
It'll fit.
recommend also to check out Blue microphones, because Blue always does holiday sales where they blow them out like 2 for $150 or 2 for $100. So they're $50. You keep one for yourself. You put the other one brand new in a box, and someone's stocking $50. And I think the Blue mics are nicer than the Shure. I use the Blue 200 myself, and I used to use a 100. I think both of them are better than the 58.
There you go. I don't use a 58 either. I've got this AKG D5, which I really like.
Yeah, great mic.
Yeah. Anyway, the dynamic microphones are small. They're easy. Things you might not think about that guitar players could probably utilize. Maybe like a multi-tool, like a Leatherman sort of a thing. Wouldn't be a bad idea, because if you got a guy that's going out, you got a handful of things there that you could use. If I could just pick one thing off the list and say, like, that's a guaranteed hit for your stocking stuffer, you get a good headstock tuner, that's the one. I would love that. I'd be more than happy with that, even though I have everything already.
Right.
I'm a wealthy man as it comes to too much guitar crap. But if somebody got me a headstock tuner, I'd be like, can't hurt to have another one.
Something you may want to give a guitar player that that maybe they won't appreciate, but you would. Soap.
It's great.
Thank you, folks. I'm here all week trying the meal. No, I'm joking.
Check this out, DL. I got booze today.
Ooh, a little bourbon. Or is that scotch?
Makers.
Ooh, little bourbon. How about that? Me pulling it out from a little eye test.
Yeah, I got the bourbon today. I had some scotch yesterday. I'm turning into a real booze hound.
Well, you're gonna now tomorrow. You need a beer. One bourbon, one scotch.
God,
George Thorogood, your favorite.
that's another stocking stuffer. George Thorogood's greatest hits.
Yeah,
Available at your local Big Lots in the
cutout bin.
The discount bin. Yeah.
Let me tell you some products, though. Let me just interrupt and tell you some things I think that you should never put in a musician's stocking. Number one, I'm just going to say all tchotchkes.
Right.
Nobody wants the pick necklace. They don't. Tchotchkes are out. Another thing is there's a product that's going around. It's been out for a couple of years. I remember it at NAMM, the Pick Puncher, where you can punch out a pick
That's
out
a
of
total
like
tchotchke.
It's
It really
such
is.
horse shit.
Yeah.
And then any expensive picks, if you're out there buying like $5 picks, thinking like this is gonna be the last pick I ever buy, no, because it says sucker all over your face for buying $5 picks. If you're spending more than 50 cents a pick, you need your head examined. That's just the fact. You can go, I mean, Fender, you could use any Fender pick and get away with it in life. You could use a Jazz 3 if you want a smaller style pick. I use the Ultex, but either way, there's a lot of picks that are inexpensive. You don't need to spend stupid money from some company that's saying this is made out of tone wood and it's going to change the sound and change your life. Yeah, it's
No,
not.
it's made from DL tone plastic.
That's yeah. Well, that's an expensive one. That'll be on the website soon.
Yeah. The tchotchkes thing is absolutely true. It's horrible. What would be other good stuff to throw in there? Or I'm sorry, not to throw in there, but things to avoid, to specifically avoid.
Before we do that, another cool thing to throw onto somebody's thing is cables, because everybody is always looking for another guitar cable. It's always nice to have an extra one in your bag if you're running out to do a jam or you got whatever. You can never have enough guitar cables, so a guitar cable's a great gift.
That's a good one. I agree with that. All right. So getting back to that $50 pedal thing.
Yeah.
There are a number of $50 pedals that are actually very useful that any guitar player could use. That Electric Lady from Moore is a great idea.
Sure.
TC Electronics Spark Mini, $50.
Excellent.
That's going to be like a clean boost that you can put after all of your pedals to give yourself
What's the
a solo
overdrive
boost.
they had that was cheap? It was like
The
$60.
The Mojo is $50.
Oh, the Dark Matter, is it?
That's one of them. Yeah, I think anything from that series is $50.
I also think that the mower, I use a Re-Echo for one of the songs we do, and I love the Re-Echo. I think that's a great mower pedal.
Is that going to be like an RE? So that's why they call it Re-Echo. It's like the Space Echo.
No, it's actually just it's just the name they chose for it. It's kind of just I use it as a slapback.
Oh, okay.
A fast slapback Echo. I like it a lot.
All right. Then after that we get the Boss SD1. That's a $50 pedal. Stay away from the DS one because that pedal stinks, but
it does. I think Behringer makes some nice pedals. They make some cool clones and knockoffs.
Yeah. They probably all of the TC stuff.
Yeah.
They own TC after all.
Oh, do they?
Yeah. Yeah, that's been for 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
Behringer makes some great things. I'm telling you right now, I use a Behringer mixing board with powered speakers, and the sound that I get is so fantastic. And I used a board the other night. I had a Mackie board, and we were playing on Friday night. And I was like, why does I had to go re-EQ everything, and it just wasn't sounding great. And he has beautiful JBL speakers, but the board sucks.
Yeah.
The Behringer board is excellent. It's a great value, great price.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Good to know. So yeah, some ideas, folks. Some good ideas out there.
Yeah, I mean, I think now that the holidays come around, you know what you really learn if you're paying attention is that the rest of the year they're selling you equipment for too much money because they could sell these prices all year round.
Yeah. But yeah,
You know what I mean?
there's some truth to that for sure.
Have you seen any great sales out there that you've seen where you're like, oh, that's...
I don't know. I'm so jaded's the wrong word. I'm inside, so none of it's that.
Right.
None of it does anything for me because I see this stuff all the time. But
yeah, and I never look.
The best one that I saw would be Pro Audio Star was running 18% off. So running 18, you start to notice that pretty much everybody does the same thing. Everywhere you go, it's 15 off, 15 off, 15 off, right. 15 off. The reason that everybody does the same thing, they do 15 off, it's because the manufacturers agree to it. They say, yeah, we'll be okay with that. And then on top of that, the reason that they agree to it is because there's probably some retail science out there that has done a lot of studies and figured out 15% is enough to move the needle. 10% is not. 20%, you don't have to give up that much. Right. So if you ever wonder why it's kind of all the same,
it's all much what it is. Exactly. It's all controlled from the manufacturer who comes in, and you have to also understand that control is from an advertising point of view because they don't have a legal right to tell a store what somebody can sell something for. It's technically only what you can advertise for, which is why we have MAP, minimum advertised price.
Right, it's just advertising price. You can always talk to your store and say, hey,
right. Right. So if you have a mom and pop shop you go to, you can definitely negotiate a price. I also told you before, if you've seen a guitar in the wall for a few years, you should really be able to negotiate the price. And if the guy doesn't want to sell it, he doesn't deserve your business.
Yeah, there's definitely enough people out there who are, I don't really need to move it. I'm not worried about it. It's like, okay, well, that guitar is not destined for you.
Right. It's like, really, you'd rather have the hook on your wall covered by the same guitar that you're paying a tax on now?
No, they want to push customers out the door instead of bring them in, which is exactly what happens, when you see the same crap over and over and over. Hey, speaking of getting people on the hook, I was talking to a buddy of mine last week. I don't think we talked about it on the show, but I was talking about a list that I saw that was like the 10 best metal amps available today.
Ooh, on this podcast we love lists.
Right. I have a different one, but that one was so stupid because first of all, it wasn't well vetted. It was 2 of the amps out of the 10 were discontinued more than a year ago. And the rest of the stuff on the list was all budget. It was like, way to go, whoever put this list together. However,
that sounds like, was it a company that did that? Because that sounds like something.
Yeah, it was some BS magazine. I don't know. It wasn't like Guitar World or Premier Guitar. It was somebody else.
Oh, okay.
But it was pointless. However, our friends at Sweetwater just released, actually, it looks like this is from a few weeks ago and we just didn't catch it. This is the end of October. The 15 best guitar amps for metal.
Wow, okay.
Okay. And this is written by Nick Baucott, who is a contributing editor to Sweetwater. He does videos for them, and he was the guitar player for Grim Reaper.
Yes, we dealt with him when we did the Kerry King Clinic.
Oh, that's correct.
Nick used to work for Marshall, so Nick's a super nice guy. Actually, I really like Nick.
Yeah. Has he always been not that great of a player? I wonder about Sweetwater. I wonder if it's brilliant marketing or if it's truly their one weak spot. And what I mean by that is all of their demos compared to, for the size of their company and the size of their revenue, their demos should be the best in the industry. Frankly, they're not. They're not even close.
No.
When I hear Don Carr, I'm immediately expecting whatever it is that he's demoing to sound as vanilla as possible. When I hear Nick, I'm just like, he stinks. And I wonder if it has to do with them trying to play themselves down to the general buying audience. Because
I don't know.
They aren't Pete Thorne, and they aren't like none of these guys could
I'll tell
possibly
you, guys
be
who I
that
thought
lame.
were good for, because Pete, I think, is a good player, but I don't really care to hear when he demos products either. You know who I like is Mark Lettieri, I think his name is.
Right.
And there's the guy down in Austin, Texas, that you know who I'm talking about. I can't think of his name.
Lance Keltner.
Love him. That's it. Yeah, great. And of course, and everyone who watches the show knows I love Cock. Greg Cock, everybody.
That's true. Well, sure, but then you get these guys that are demoing like RJ Ronquillo. I love his demo work. It's really, really good.
Who, Ron Popeil?
Ron Popeil. No, RJ Ronquillo is really good. Even the dude, what's his name? Eric Schnobeltone.
Oh, God, I hate Schnobel.
Oh, I like the way he does his delay demos.
Schnobel, and what's the other guy's
the
name?
best.
Kent? Up in Canada, the other guy. This is Curtis Kent. Oh, my God.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know that one, but
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a million resources, and I'm just always surprised at the quality of the videos that Sweetwater does, because they are like they're the best retail company out there. They know exactly what they're doing all the time.
Well, this is Mitch Gallagher over here at Sweetwater, and today we're going to talk about how you
I still think he's the best demo guy there. And it's like, what does that tell you? So anyway, Nick writes this article called 15 Cranium Crushing Heads. The 15 best guitar amps for metal. He specifically
I'm already
says,
jaded because I know he's a big Marshall guy.
Yeah.
So I'm already kind of jaded about him because I know when he was in Grim Reaper, he was using Marshalls too. But let's go down that list, shall we?
All right. This is in no specific order, he says.
No water? Oh, okay. No
So
water.
We've got no order here, unfortunately. Why don't you just drop me, a couple words on each one, what you think?
All righty.
All right. Number one needs no introduction. Probably the most recorded metal amp ever. JCM 800 2203.
Fantastic amp. It's no different than some people will say, nah, it's no different than the JMP 2203, whether it's the 800 or not.
Yeah.
Good amp.
Yeah, ridiculous. Probably another one that's been recorded a trillion times, the dual rectifier.
Fantastic. Which version does he say?
Nah, he's not specific. I'm assuming everything on this list is something that they stock and sell. Let's just be certain that that's the case.
Okay.
All right.
Well, we
So
can assume that, and we'll find out when we get through the whole list.
EVH 5150.
So it's the 5153.
Yeah, because this is all the best stuff for metal that's available. Today. None of this is discontinued.
Right. Okay. This is not of all time. This is of all time what we have in stock.
Right. What we have in stock.
Nick, we don't have that one in stock. Yeah, it just got bumped off the list. I just remembered another amp. What do we got?
Right.
We got a PV Wiggy. The PV Wiggy.
Right.
So
anyway, 5153 is that's the one there. Followed by the PV Invective 120.
I don't know it.
Okay, the PV Invective 120 is the Misha Mansour periphery signature head.
I don't know who Misha Mansour is.
Okay, well, you, my friend, are out of touch with the kids, the Gent kids. We got to get you into the Gent.
But I will say that I do not know that amp. However, an amp I do love by PV is the Triple X2. Is an underrated, unsung amp.
I have never played one. So, all right. So we don't know that one. Okay, that's fine. Let's move along here. The next one would be the famed Diesel VH4.
You love that amp.
The Diesel VH4 is a very, very, very good amp. Yes, there's no doubt about it. It is insanely expensive, $4,000 amp. And it's been played by the likes of the the dude from Tool, and James Hetfield. Those are guys that use those on the regular.
So when you're making a head, let me ask you this. So you're a company and you're making a head for $4,000. Are you really selling that head? Or are you basically selling cheaper heads, and that's the one for the guys who are in the business that get it for free get?
Years ago, I would have said you're not selling them. Working with Dave Friedman now and seeing how many $3,800 heads they sell, I'd say they're probably selling these heads.
But there's a difference between a Dave Friedman $3,800 head and a $4,000 diesel head. And let me just say,
$200 difference.
No, I'll tell you what the difference is. We put a PRS on the wall for $4,500 or $4,000 PRS. Beautiful top, gorgeous guitar. Will it sell? Probably.
Yeah.
Probably. Now, we also had some very expensive USA-made Deans. $4,000.
Right.
A Dean ML for $4,000. Will it sell?
Well, of course not. No.
That's it. So I'm asking, is the diesel VH4 that $4,000 Dean that's not meant to sell, but to sell the cheaper stuff? Where you're comparing it to Friedman, where Friedman's a much more universally used amp.
In the case of diesel, there are no cheaper amps. Everything they make is over $3,000. So it's just
So if you want
more.
to spend $2,000, then you're just buying a pedal.
Right, exactly. It sells the pedals. Right. Yeah, it is that's all you get from them. So
Wow.
That probably exists. That's a compelling point. That probably exists in a lot of brands. I'm absolutely certain that the lust over a Friedman BE100 Deluxe sells a lot of pink tacos or runts.
Sure, absolutely.
Because people are like, it's close to that sound at half the price.
Well, people are not buying the Marshall 2203 in the 20-watt version because they're not in love with the the 100-watt. That's what's selling it.
Right, that
That
smaller
history.
Yeah, that smaller amp is like a discounted ticket to the show. You still get in the show, but it's not. Yeah,
right. And so that's what I was wondering with diesel. I didn't, because I don't know much about the company other than it's like a heavy metal looking logo when I think about it, and I think of it as like a heavy metal.
Oh, totally.
Type. Yeah,
and it totally is. It's not really a one-trick pony. It's got 4 channels, and one of them is very like fendery clean. But
the whole thing could be gorgeous. I just know what they market to.
Yeah. So then we've got the Friedman JJ100, which I thought was a very interesting pick. That's the Jerry Cantrell signature.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Considering that it's built on the bones, I'm just sort of surprised they didn't put the BE100 on the, because that's Dave's, most well-known product that he's ever made, the BE100.
Oh, I'll tell you why. Yeah. I can tell you why right away. Because Nick was like, "Hey, Mitch Gallagher, you in the warehouse? Yeah, look, how many of those BE100s do we have? 2? Yeah, how many of the JJs? 7? Next on our list."
you might be right. There could be something to that. But yeah, but
they're almost the same amp. I mean, isn't it just a tweaked version? What did he make it spunkier for Jerry or something?
Yeah, it's just got different, couple different components, different.
Yeah, so I mean,
he could tell you exactly what it is. I couldn't, but it's it's similar. It sounds great. Don't get me wrong, but it's I was just sort of surprised to see the artist version rather than just like the one that we sell.
Let me ask you this question: the BE100, is it like higher gain for the Cantrell? Because isn't the B100 more like a plexi, hot rodded plexi?
So is the Cantrell.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. No, yeah. I think we're just talking like slightly different voicings.
Yeah.
These guys come to him because they like the amp in the first place. And they're like, "I love this thing. Is there any chance you can make it a little tiny bit more this or a little bit more that?" And that's all it is. Yeah,
but then here's my question, because I know you work for the company, so I don't know what you could say or can say, but
It's not Can't Say, it's Cantrell. Sorry.
Oh, it's Cantrell. No, but it's is it necessary to put the person's name on it? Like, let's say that I had a deal with Dave Friedman, and he was like, "Hey," and I said, "Dave, this is what I want you to do. I want this amp brighter." And he was like, "All right, can I put your name on it?" I'd be like, "No, it's your amp. If you want to sell it, you could say, call it something, and say that I use it. But there's no you know what I mean? I just don't see the need."
Yeah, I don't know.
All right,
I
that
honestly
answered
don't
that.
know. No, I don't
that
think
was clear.
I don't think this. He's got so many guys playing those amps, and there's so few artist models that I don't think that it's coming from him. I don't think he's saying, "I'm desperate to put your name on this product."
No, I know, but it's like, of course he's not desperate.
Yeah.
Here's the Jerry Cantrell model, and you have an up-and-coming 22-year-old guitar player going, who? Jerry Cantrell, the guitar player for Alice in Chains. Oh, yeah, my dad likes them.
Right, sure. Yeah, no, I wish I could tell you. I don't know the answer to that question. That's
It would be like for you, oh, this is the guitar player for Moby Grape. He likes that amp.
I love Moby Grape.
Exactly. Now you love Grape Ape.
Oh, that's what I meant.
Exactly.
All right, moving along. We get the orange Rocker Verb 100. Mark.
Awful
3.
amplifier. Awful.
I had a Rocker Verb for about 15 minutes, maybe 6-7 years ago.
Uh-huh.
Didn't gel with it at all. I don't like the distortion voice of that amp.
The tone of that amplifier, in my opinion, of any orange amp, is crap.
Very fizzy sounding to my ears.
Yes, it's just not a pleasant sound. If I want that kind of fuzz, I'll buy a fuzz pedal.
Okay.
I don't like the tone of the Rocker Verb.
All right, now we're going to get into some obligatory lower price point options for the people, because you can't populate this list with 15 $4,000 amps. You have to throw some bones to the peasants. We get
it's to the kids, the people that don't.
So we get the Black Star HT Stage 100.
Okay.
Now,
I don't know the amp. Is it all tube?
Yep, this particular amp is all tube. It's on a PC board. It's this is going to be like wired in China kind of thing.
Yeah, well, they're all made in China. But you say on a PC board, but PCB, but so is all the Marshalls and.
Yeah, I got no problem with that.
Yeah,
I have no problem with that. But I'm just saying from a standpoint of the people that are saying, like, I mean,
every Marshall's been on that board since 73 or 74, so it's not
the Mesas have the flying leads, as they call them. So you've got the components that are, like the pots and the tube sockets. Those are not on the board. Those are right on the chassis. They're bolted in on the chassis. The Blacks everything's going to be on a board. It's going to be like a Fender, where it's 100% on a circuit board. It's not really a worse thing. It's just, if there's a service issue, I think it becomes easier. But whatever.
Sure.
I am not anti-PC board. I know some people out there are, but that's not me. But anyway, this is going to be your sub $1,000 option here. I used to work for these guys, and quite honestly, for under $1,000, sounds great. Really good amp.
I would imagine it's the Marshall guys, and it's and what was it? Was it based on a certain similarity to any Marshalls, or is it like a new design?
Yeah, no. I mean, they're doing with Black Star kind of the same thing that Friedman's doing with a Marshall. They're refining that sound. They're taking it and making it more pleasant to your ears at a reasonable volume. So you get that better top end,
sure.
Rather than it just being ridiculously bright and ridiculously loud, which is kind of what the Marshalls were doing.
Right.
So it's more refined. It's a good amp. Then we move on to the PRS Archon 100.
PRS. I don't even know this one.
I think this is like a high gain 100 watt head. My buddy had one for a minute. Sounds like Sounds like a 5150, whatever.
All right, it's a little fizzy.
Yeah. I mean, it sounded okay.
All righty.
I got nothing fun to say about it. But then we get to the Bogner.
What's the price point of that?
$1,500, $2,000. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know, but it's available at Sweetwater right now.
Oh,
They've
it
got some
is.
stock. Yeah, it's in stock. Then we get the Bogner Uberschall Twin Jet. You ever played an Uberschall before?
Yeah.
It's kind of fun.
I mean, Bogner makes for great stuff. I prefer the Shiva because it's a little bit more pulled back,
Yeah, it's
more
flexible
Marshall.
and everything. Yeah.
The Uberschall's his heavy metal amp. Yeah, I mean, it's like comparative to the Rectifier. Very heavy.
Got a lot of thrust.
Yeah.
It's fun to play because it's just like you hit that big chord on it, and you're like, oh my god.
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of there used to be a guy named Jürgen Raff out of Germany, and he made Rammstein's amps.
Oh, okay.
And it reminds me of that guitar tone in Du Hast. That's what the Uberschall reminds me
That's
of.
funny. So the Twin Jet, the Uberschall Twin Jet, is literally that amp with two of the same channels. So it doesn't have a clean. The regular Uberschall, you've got a clean and you got a dirty. This one's just two of those dirty channels. It's hilarious.
Right. So you can use one as like a lead.
Yeah.
Crank it as a lead. And then the other thing with that is what's the price tag? That's got to be $3,000.
Yeah, probably $3,000 or $3,300, something like that.
Yeah, they're not cheap.
No, but those are all handmade. And
I also think Reinhold Bogner is
North Hollywood.
one of the better builders. Yeah, I think he's fantastic. His low gain stuff like the Mephisto and the Goldfinger 45, just great.
Really good stuff. Always good sounding stuff.
He's awesome.
Hughes and Kettner Triamp. Former amplifier of Alex Lifeson.
Yeah.
I've never played one. Never had an opportunity.
Didn't we sell them?
Nah. Maybe before I was there.
What's the Tommy Thayer model?
Duotone or something like that.
We sold them. Yeah, we sold H&K for a small bit.
Yeah, I never saw one of these in the store though.
Okay.
Lifeson used panel. The one thing that I think they did that was cool because nobody else was doing it at the time was that plexiglass panel on the front, and they, you could see all the light up and everything on the inside. It's kind of cool.
Absolutely, yeah.
But I got nothing else to say about it because I don't know anything about it.
They make a great amplifier. I don't know if that is such a heavy metal amp as much as it is a heavy metal amp that fits a list of 15. You know what I mean? Like, would you mention it if you weren't trying to make a list of the top 15 and it's something you stock?
Yeah.
I don't know that it's a heavy metal amp. I wouldn't call Alex Lifeson a heavy metal guitar player.
Well, we're not done with Lifeson yet. This list goes on. So we move on to the Rivera Knucklehead 3 with reverb.
Sure.
That would also be known as the Rivera K-Tray for those who are using industry lingo. My buddy has one of those, and it's okay.
Yeah.
I like Paul Rivera. I've met him before. He was a very nice guy. I've never found an amp that I've gelled with. It's just not my voice. It's no offense to the company. Like, they make great stuff.
Makes great stuff.
I just haven't been able to find one that I like has been my voice.
It's a very LA guitar sound, though, for my ears. So when I hear it, I think of the rock guys in the 80s, which is a great tone. Great tone. I mean, it's a great...
But it's not Marshall.
No.
I guess that's one thing that's good about it. It's not Marshall. It's not Boogie.
It's
Rivera's got its own thing.
It definitely has its own thing. I think Paul makes great stuff. I think if you're looking for something that's not Mesa and not Marshall, that it's definitely a contender. They come with a hefty sticker because it's one guy. It's a smaller operation, I would say, than some.
Yeah. Good quality, though. You're going to get great quality. And they make
great quality.
They make the
hot plates.
Yeah, they make those. I can't think of what they're called. They got the big graphic EQs on them and everything. And then they also make the recording guitar cabinets, which is kind of neat. Like the cabinet inside of the cabinet kind of thing.
Yeah.
I can't remember what any of it's called. I apologize, but
Hey,
good
let me
company.
ask you this
worth looking
question:
them
Is
up.
that company still is 65 amps still around?
No. Nope, 65's been gone for 2-3 years.
I think everybody knows what that means. Get on Craigslist and start looking for 65 amps because they're not going to go for a lot of money.
That might be true. There are a few of them that are really good too. I
Yeah,
hear a lot
they
of
were
people.
great amps.
A lot of people say the Little Elvis is incredible.
Yeah, they were great
So,
amps.
Find
But
one of those.
I'm just saying there's a lot of guys, and especially in the LA area, a lot of guys who were sponsored by them and they're probably like, yeah, let me just get the cash for this.
Well, not only that, but if they're gone now and they're not popular on the street right now, get them
They
cheap.
will.
And in 5 years, everybody starts talking about it again.
Yeah.
The prices go up. That's how this crap works.
Unless I ruined it right now by talking about it here. And now
It's still, yeah, nobody listens to this show.
That's true.
How do we feel about the next entry, the Boss Katana?
Well, that amp is definitely selling to the, and I have no problem with that. You're selling to the 15-year-old kid who just bought an Aria Pro 2 or what? No, who just bought a LTD guitar,
Right.
or he bought a inexpensive Chapman, and he wants to go out and play in his first band. And the 50-watt Katana is a great bedroom amp, and it could also be in a club.
There you
It's
go.
a good amp. There's nothing wrong with the Boss Katana.
Yeah, I think it's a good sounding product. I actually do like it. In the spirit of modeling, the next one on the list is the Kemper Profiler Power Rack, which means that's the powered Kemper. Now,
Yeah,
you've
you want
taken
my
the
opinion on
Katana.
that?
The Katana's $300. The Kemper's $3,000.
Right. Yeah. That and some lighter fluid will make some good steaks. There's no need for the Kemper. I don't even understand it. I don't need a $3,000 modeling amp. It's, you know what I mean? It's silly.
It's popular. A lot of touring
Is it?
guys use it. You know, the guy that developed the Kemper Profiler is the guy that made that Axis Virus synthesizer. He's a synth guy.
All right.
Same guy, same company, same concept. It's a sampler.
Yeah.
They figured out how to sample guitar tones. That's all
Right.
it is, a sampler.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, sampling technology and what it is, Class D power amp. Class D power amps, folks, they are dirt cheap to manufacture.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just saying, if it's a modeling amp, it's all electronic parts. How much could it be?
Yeah, $3,000 apparently. We follow it up with the very last thing, which is an interesting one on the list. This really surprises me. It doesn't belong on this list, if you ask me. The Lurks Omega.
Never heard of this thing. Is this an amp?
Yes, this is the 50-watt hand-wired head Sweetwater exclusive from Mojo Tone.
Ooh. Now I'm
Mojo.
involved. Now I like it. I love Mojo Tone.
Mojo Tone is a very cool thing. What this is effectively it's a Mojo Tone throwback to a Silver Jubilee.
So one of my least favorite amps from Marshall is getting a lot of love from Mojo Tone. The Jubilee stinks.
And the
Sorry, folks.
the Lurks. Are you familiar with the nickname Lurks?
No.
That's somehow or another that's Alex Lifeson's nickname. This was his little baby that he did with Mojo Tone.
Did he use a Jubilee at some point?
I'm guessing he must have.
Well, if he did,
you-
we're talking, what was Jubilee, 87?
Yeah.
What album was that?
I don't know. I mean, they made it look just like a Jubilee, but I don't think that it's. I don't know if circuit wise it's voiced exactly the same. I've never heard this before.
Is it? What are they selling it for?
$3,500.
$3,500.
Yep.
You could buy a Mojo Tone 5E3 circuit. What do they call that? The Black Tweed, the 57 Black Tweed, for $9.99 on Reverb.
Yeah,
This hunk of shit's going for $3,500.
that's what they're saying. Limited edition, 100 pieces available. It's clearly one of the greatest metal amps ever made because they've only made 100 of them. For a guitar player who is not a metal musician.
You know why they made 100? Because if they said even if they just made 100 and never said it, they'd never sell them. But people be like, "Ooh, who the hell wants a Jubilee?" I hated that amp. I hated it.
Tell me how you really feel.
I hated that amp. And around that year, you could have bought 87. You still could have bought a 2203.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I gotta say, I don't know. I mean, I love Alex Lifeson, but I don't know about
I'm
that.
surprised at this list because I have to say I'm surprised there isn't a Bugera for the clone quality cheap with the Infesium tube system, whatever it's called, Infesium and test whatever it is. I'm surprised that's not on the list because I think for a budget amp it's a great price, around $500 for a solid tube amp that's just sounds good. Sounds good.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if you're going to have a list of the top 100 or the top metal amps ever made, you can't have that list without having the Soldano SL. You just can't. It's not doable. It's not.
I was going to say let's take the is that the last one on the list?
That's the last one. Yeah,
okay, what do you think are the 5 best metal amps that you liked, and I'll go over my 5.
The 5 best metal amps to my ear, or to like recorded history and things that I like that.
Both.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree that the 2203 and the dual rectifier need to be there. They've earned their place. They're definitely there. The 5150 should be there.
Agreed. The first one, the PV.
Yeah, the first one. It's not my favorite amp to play. I've had 2 of them, and I don't get along with it. But
personally, I think the JSX was a better amp.
It's based off the same circuit, isn't it?
It's modded,
but yeah, the tweaks and things that makes a big change. But I think the SLO needs to be there.
Soldano.
And I think that's 4. And then number 5, I don't know. I think the best amp being made today for that sound, I think Dave's BE100 Deluxe is nuts. It's insanely good, but it doesn't have the history. It's brand new.
Guys are out there using it today, playing it.
Yeah,
I think that counts for something, isn't
right? Right. We sell a lot of them, man. People love that thing, and it does sound incredible. So I don't know. I'd throw that on the list. It's I'm being a bit of a homer by saying that, but the thing's nuts. It's the best sounding, heavy metal modified Marshall circuit that's out there right now.
Yeah, I agree with today's technology because if we were going back 20 years, we'd be sitting there bringing up Laney.
Yeah, that's probably true.
And some of the other, brands that were around during that time. But yeah, I would have to say that the PVJSX to me is one of the best. I think if somebody was looking for a Marshall and couldn't afford a 2203, which can be a pricey amplifier, I would say go find a used vintage modern.
2260.
I forget what the number is on it. Obviously, I think the dual rectifier, and when we talk about the dual rectifier, just like John kind of said, the JSX is really a modded 5150. Therefore, there's no reason for me to bring up any of the triple rectifiers or any rectifier knockoff because they're all based on the dual rectifier. So there's no real reason to bring that up. I think the Soldano is a good call. I would say I think the Marshall JCM 2100 that I have back there is a great amp.
Is that the 900?
The 900, yep. And I'm trying to think what else is. I mean, like for sound, to me, one of the greatest sounds. I mean, I would say the Bogner Uberschall, just because it has that tone of what I think the Wrath sounds like, and that Jurgen Wrath amp is like ridiculous sounding on that Rammstein record. That's just a great sound. You know what? I think a lot of times people find out that the better recordings for stuff isn't necessarily the highest amount of gain.
Right.
And the players that think it's all about the gain. See, I like the lower gain stuff.
Right.
When you listen to like Judas Priest and you listen to British Steel versus like Turbo,
Mm-hmm.
where Turbo has that real high gain and chorus, and the other does not. Or you could listen to Ready and Willing by Whitesnake and listen to the original Fool for Your Lovin', and then listen to the Steve Vai Wangfest on that. I'm surprised Carvin's not on that list. And when I say surprised, I mean I absolutely know they would nowhere be near that list.
Right.
Horrible.
Yeah, that's funny. Well, you know what you just said is funny because the JCM 800 2203 is not a high gain amp.
No. It actually
Of these amps.
It got higher gain. I will say this: it is a higher gained amp. I believe in the late '80s they did something to it. They tweaked it.
When they went to that dual channel version of it, or you just
the
talking
dual
about
channels, the
2203?
2210 and the 2205.
Okay,
No, the
yeah.
2203.
Okay, you're talking about that one. Yeah, I don't know. They probably did. But no, I mean, dude, even like the 5150, which has got gobs of gain, way too much gain for anybody. I know that like Adam, whatever his name is, the guy from Kill Switch Engage, which is like, I mean, that's monstrous high, super high gain tone. When he's using that amp, he's got the gain dialed back to like 10:30 or 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
And he's kicking the front end of it with a tube screamer, and then multi-tracking to get the heft, to get that like
Right.
crazy heavy sound. None of these amps like that are designed for metal, none of the guys that are like real good players are playing it with the gain set as high as that, it's potentially capable of being.
Yeah, it just doesn't sound good. Like, I will say this about the 5150, the version 1, the very first one that came out. It had too much gain at low volume, but when you turned it up, it lost a lot of the gain.
Mm.
Which it actually sounded really nice, loud. But yeah, I mean, you still could dial it back.
I had one of those, the block letter one, the very first 5150. I had a first year one of those, and you're absolutely right. Except the problem with it is, most of the time you're playing this at home or whatever.
Right. And it's a Bumblebee.
And it didn't sound good like that.
Right. It was a Bumblebee. We used to call it a Bumblebee amp because at low volume, the distortion was so fizzy, it sounded like a bzz. And then when you turned it up, it opened up like a Marshall, which it was nice, but it was like that amp should be like, yeah, turn it up or don't play it. Right. I also think the crank that I have over here, the Revolution 1 and the Revolution 1 Plus, is another great amp that doesn't have a tremendous amount of gain. And Crank got a bad name from the Crankenstein because Dime wanted that fizz and that had like a clipping diode, and it was just ridiculous. Well, with it out, it sounds really nice.
Yeah.
I tend to like Fender amps, and like I said, I tend to like a 6V6 amp. I like bright.
Yeah.
And the brighter, it's easy to turn down bright. But to me, it's hard to put in bright where there isn't.
Folks, if you get an opportunity to buy yourself a Lurks Omega, once you're done with it, feel free to send it to me. I want to hear it.
Also,
I'm not buying one.
Have you seen these videos? It's a channel on YouTube called Good Mythical Morning.
No.
And these guys like blindfold themselves and they taste like everybody's French fries. And they do this blind food test and they try to guess where it's from and then they rate it.
Okay.
Very entertaining stuff, folks. Very entertaining stuff.
I don't spend a lot of time on YouTube.
Yeah, that's all I watch.
Yeah,
I don't watch TV anymore.
I'm missing out. I need to get to it. Anyway,
all right, everybody.
Folks, it's always a good time. We look forward to catching up with you next week.
Have a great week, everybody. Very good.
See ya.
You're listening to Guitar Talk with Dave and John.